Hey everyone, thanks for watching the Commander's Brew here on YouTube. If you're liking these deck techs and you're liking what we're doing here on the channel, do us a favor, hit subscribe. It really helps us out. You can ring the bell to know when we come out with new stuff. That'd be CB Vlog, deck techs, Battle of the Brews, of course. Yeah, check it all out here. You can also check out our Patreon, patreon.com/commandersbrew, to get in on the action, help us make the show, and suggest cards for decks and deck ideas and things like that. It's a lot of fun in our Discord. So check us out, patreon.com/commandersbrew. But without further ado, let's get to today's big deck tech. Sean, what are we brewing with?
Can't wait. Today's deck is Niv-Mizzet Reborn, which is the 5-color commander, but we're going Abzan with him. We're eliminating blue and red, Niv-Mizzet's main colors.
Those are Niv's colors, man.
Not anymore. Niv is going to be... We're brewing up Abzan Niv-Mizzet. I gotta get a little specific here, though. Okay, let's read Niv-Mizzet Reborn.
Sure, yeah.
Niv-Mizzet Reborn costs Wooburg to cast. You got to spend one of every color. Legendary Dragon Avatar, 6/6 with flying, and when Niv-Mizzet Reborn enters the battlefield, flip the top 10 of your library, and then you get to put one of each color pair into your hand. The way it's worded is you only get one of each guild, and it has to be exactly a guild. It can't be a 3-color card. So if we were only brewing an Abzan deck, that is 3 guilds. We've got Selesnya, we've got Golgari, and we've got Orzhov. So in theory, the best we could do off of 10 cards is hit 3. So cast Niv, draw 3. However, we're going to take advantage of the fact that hybrid cards, according to the game, count as other guilds. Like, so if a card is Boros, we can cast that with our white mana, which we have plenty of, but it counts as a Boros card if we hit it with Niv-Mizzet, and we're allowed to just count that as a draw. So now we have the potential to draw 9 cards. The only guild I did not include is Izzet, because I don't want cards that need red and blue, because we can't make those. Would be really hard. We have a few ways of getting other colors of land as a way to cast Niv-Mizzet, but I don't ever want to be... My brewing restriction was to never strand cards in my hand that are uncastable if I don't have my main 3 colors. We're using hybrid cards. We're using aftermath cards that have a front half that we like, that are within Abzan, but the back half is in the other colors. And we're using split cards, because split cards look at the whole thing, but we only need to cast one of them. As long as the half within Abzan is a good floor, then I'm happy to run it.
Cool.
And thanks to JP from Discord for the Aftermath idea. I wasn't thinking Aftermath cards till he came up with them.
Nice.
It's great. So that's the plan. I cannot wait to bring you these neat moves.
Working on a
Neat
moves.
All right. Huge. So the first thing we want to do with this deck is get it so that we're getting the maximum returns for old Niv. So in order to do that, we want to thin the deck. We want to get those lands out of there, and we want to be drawing the maximum number of guild cards we can. So let's get those lands out of our deck with cards like Flower Flourish. Flower is so this is a split card. Flower is the 1 hybrid green-white sorcery that says search your library for a basic forest or plains, reveal it, put it in your hand, and shuffle your library. Nice little helpful card there. And then it also has Flourish on the other side of it, which is the sorcery for 4 green-white, and says creatures you control get +2/+2 until end of turn.
And I'm going to spoiler alert, this deck takes advantage of Flourish late in the game.
Nice. That's very good. Always good to have that option. Next is Open the Gates, which is a single green for a sorcery that says search your library for a basic land card or gate card, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. These cards got, I like that these cards got printed. They really help out a bunch of players fix their mana. Open the Gates. There's a couple other ones that got printed, obviously a Circuitous Route is another one where it looks for gates. So these cards are actually super helpful.
Well, and then the number one gate
is Gateway Plaza. Of course.
Yeah.
It enters the battlefield tapped when it's a land, obviously. Enters tapped. You have to sack it unless you pay 1, so it's that Rupture Spire thing. But it adds mana of any color. The reason that I would definitely include this card over those other cards that we talked about, Rupture Spire and Transguild Promenade, is because this is actually a gate. You can actually search this one up. You should get this, obviously, with cards like Open the Gates and other things. So you can sort of plan on when you're going to drop this. Usually I don't like these cards because they set you back a turn when the turn you play them, and sometimes that's essential. So when you're developing, they're not always as great. You want them really early, so it's nice to be able to grab them with certain cards. And then finally, we have Fork in the Road. 1 and a green for a sorcery. Search your library for up to 2 basic land cards. Reveal them. Put 1 in your hand and the other in your graveyard. Shuffle your library. So this takes 2 cards out.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what we want. This idea of thinning the deck too. I know it seems kind of like, are you really doing that much? Like, well, no, I guess not. But if you get enough of these rolling and you get enough of these going, like you do enough work that, and just, I say this because Epic Experiment, that's one of the premises of that deck. When we were brewing that, it's like, get those lands out with these low CMC instants and sorceries, get them out of your hand. Get them out of your deck into your hand, and then you can, when that late game comes, you're loving it. You're just rolling.
Yeah, I took the exact same inspiration from Epic Experiment, and because I heavily favored single mana sorceries that put a land into your hand, as opposed to 2 or 3 mana spells that ramp lands. Ramping is better than just putting lands in your hand, but if we can get them, that means we can go heavy forest, and we can run fewer lands because we'll be able to get those first lands that get us other lands that get us rolling into more of those. So I think I took a page out of Epic Experiment's handbook for this one.
Yeah, it's interesting to get these lands into your hand as opposed to the battlefield. You'd think it's just automatically better, but I think in these types of decks, there's definitely an argument to be made about doing it quickly. Like you said, running more forests, being more consistent at the start of the game in getting these things. So yeah.
I mean, you can probably guess that most of the deck is 2 colors, so it is very helpful to be able to like manage our lands that way.
Definitely.
We also want ways to bounce Niv-Mizzet. Once we get Niv-Mizzet rolling, we want to be able to bounce Niv-Mizzet, get him back to our hand, recast him so that we can get more triggers to draw more cards. One of the perfect examples is Turn to Mist. This is an instant. And it's 1 and a hybrid Azorius. So this counts as a hybrid Azorius, but we never need blue to play this.
Nice.
So 1 and a white or 1 and a blue, exile target creature, return it to the battlefield at its owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. So as long as we get it in a main, we can get Niv-Mizzet at an end step. We can also use this kind of thing to save Niv-Mizzet from a removal spell, perhaps, and get more triggers that way. And if we're thinking ahead, this is a 2 mana Azorius card. So if we can save up and cast Niv-Mizzet once we have 7 lands and save up a white and a colorless, if we hit this, we can draw it with Niv-Mizzet and protect Niv-Mizzet and keep that chain rolling. We're hoping to cast Niv-Mizzet on 7 as opposed to 5.
Oh, okay.
Then we've got Leave to Chance. This is an Aftermath card. So the front, which is the side we care about, is the white side. 1 and a white. Instant, return any number of target permanents you own to your hand. This is here to get Niv back to our hand once we got the chain rolling. Or if in an emergency, I can save something from a removal spell if I get stuck with it. But the sorcery Aftermath side we can cast from our graveyard says 3 and a red, discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards. Once I got Niv rolling, this is going to be great for those extra like lands in my hand, those extra sorceries that look for lands. Since most of our ramp, quote unquote, gets lands to our hands, there's going to be a time where I want to dump them all, trade them in for new cards, and Chance is perfect for that.
Nice.
And then finally, I want to talk about Crystal Shard. This is not a hybrid card. This doesn't Niv can't get this card.
Yeah.
But it's a 3 generic artifact, 3 in a tap or blue in a tap. Return target creature to its owner's hand unless its controller pays 1. This does 2 things. Our opponents can't tap out, otherwise we get to bounce any creature back to their hand for 3, or a blue. If we've got our Gateway Plaza, we can spend a blue. But we can also always do this to our own Niv-Mizzet and just decline to pay and bounce our own Niv-Mizzet to cast it again to get more triggers.
Nice. Yeah, classic move there. Next, we're talking about making a couple of tokens. A lot of good guild ways to do this. Oh wait, no, did I? Oh no, there's
skipped
something
a little
else. I
section.
skipped the section. We're not making tokens yet. We're getting Niv back, right? This is cool. So this is in case Niv does get destroyed. We weren't able to save him. But we can get him back from the graveyard. Grave Upheaval. There we go. That's a good one. 4 black, red. The sorcery. Put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control, and it gains haste and basic land cycling for 2, which is great because, like we said in those early turns, much like those green cards that get lands to your hand, that basic land cycling is going to be able to do the exact same thing for any basic land for just 2 colorless, which is great. And then of course Grave Upheaval, if we want to cast that part of the card, is going to be very helpful with Niv, after a board wipe or something like that.
Yeah, big time.
We also have Obzedat's Aid, 3 white black. We're talking like Abzan cards here. White, black, sorcery, return target permanent card from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is kind of an underplayed card in Commander, I feel like, because it returns a permanent.
Yeah.
Getting back your birthing pod or mind's dilation, you know what I mean? There's a lot of cards you can get with this this is actually pretty sweet. It's not just simply a Rise from the Grave. But in this case, that's probably where we're going to land with it. But it's nice to have that flexibility.
Well, and you know what I actually realized I neglected to mention is, what is the Abzan part of the deck doing? The Abzan part is kind of focusing on, well, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because I think the most interesting thing is the little secret hybrids and things. But the main engine is a lot of creatures that bring back other creatures, a couple of sack outlets, and a lot of token generation. And we're going to do a little bit of an aristocrat-y thing to kind of, all those little creatures dying and coming back should drain our opponents out. So there are often times where the correct line of play is to sack Niv-Mizzet for benefit, really? And then you cast Obzedat's Aid to bring him right back, and then get a bunch more draw spells, which keeps the chain rolling. And
getting more stuff that can get him back or blink him and stuff like that, right? That's really great. So being able to sack Niv-Mizzet, use Obzedat's Aid to get him back, then hold on to a turn to mist. And now we've got numerous Niv-Mizzet triggers that we're dealing with. That's awesome. So speaking of getting him back, finally we have Restoration Gearsmith. 2 white black for the 3/3 Human Artificer. When Restoration Gearsmith enters the battlefield, return target artifact or creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So this is a nice what's it called? Gravedigger? Yeah, Gravedigger.
Yeah.
But it's Orzhov, so we can actually hit it with Niv-Mizzet, get it back up to our hand, cast Niv for 5, which is easy, no problem.
Yeah, right. It feels so cozy when you have your commander out, but you have a Gearsmith in your hand or something like that, or an Obzedat's Aid. You're I don't need to worry about this creature dying. I'm going to let it die, and I'm going to get it back to my hand. Getting it right to the battlefield is obviously better, but I don't mind putting Niv-Mizzet in my hand and saving on that commander tax.
Yeah, and generally putting a commander in your graveyard can feel kind of scary because what if they took my Restoration Gearsmith? What if somehow that, that card gets wheeled away or something like that? Well, you've got enough stuff in here that cares about getting your commander back from your graveyard. So I feel like you're eventually going to hit something if for some reason one of these things gets dealt with. So I wouldn't be too worried. And I used to be worried about it getting exiled. And then I was like, oh wait, that doesn't matter. Because you can just put it in the command zone. That's fine.
You just put it in the command zone. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Great. So we do. So as I hinted at, I probably should have presented these in a different order. But we're gonna make a lot of tokens in order to take it. We're gonna make a lot of tokens to just. It's so I mentioned earlier the flourish half of flower, right? If we're a token go wide deck, we can give all our creatures +2/+2 and do a lot of damage that way, or just ramp if we need to. I love that flexibility. But we're gonna run March of the Multitudes, which is a card that gets better the more tokens you have. X green white instant Convoke, so we can tap creatures to count as mana, and we get to create X 1/1 white soldier creature tokens with lifelink. It's Selesnya. Niv-Mizzet gets it for us, and we can. This is your best third token card. Once you've got a bunch of tokens, you just make even more of them.
Yeah.
And it's instant, so we can do it at an end step of an opponent and just surprise people with it.
So good.
We're also running Izoni Thousand Eyed, 2 black, black, green, green, legendary elf shaman for a 2/3. And she's got Undergrowth. When Izoni comes into the battlefield, you get a 1/1 black and green insect for each creature in your graveyard. And since we're sacking, there's a little bit of dredging going on, our graveyard gets pretty full. So we're going to get quite a few of those insects, which is great for tokens. But also, Izoni says black, green, sack another creature, gain a life, draw a card. It's a card draw engine. It's a sack outlet. And Izoni makes tokens. Izoni does everything this deck wants to do.
Yeah, she's one of my favorite Golgari cards of recent years, I think. Actually.
Yeah.
She's really great.
Yeah, and then we need a Selesnya card too, right? No, we have a Selesnya card already, but in case we want another, we've got Aura Mutation, green, white for an instant, destroy a target enchantment, and create X 1/1 green sapling creature tokens, where X is that enchantment's converted mana cost.
Yep.
Great. Happy to do it. It's an instant. We need removal, and I'll take some tokens.
Yeah, happy to have this. Even if this is just getting rid of something like dumb, like
Goblin Bombardment.
Yeah, like even something
Although that's
small.
not dumb.
No, that's not dumb.
That's the combo.
I was gonna say something like just like one of those exiling enchantments, like or like a pacifism style card. Like, you know, some people are still running those, and some people put them on your commander, and it's really a pain. That's really like the not the base of the card, because the base of the bottom of the card is like there is no enchantments, you can't cast it.
Yeah.
But this is Commander. You're going to see enchantments. You're going to see big enchantments. You're going to see Mind's Dilations and things like that. So there is the possibility of really going off with this card and getting like 5 to 7 tokens with it. But even if you're just shooting this one at a 2 mana or a 3 mana enchantment, like that's still really good. That's still great to spend a card, get rid of theirs, and then to have a few tokens left over.
Sure, maybe you're killing like a...
Because then you just use those to cast your March of the Multitudes, and that just makes it 3 bigger. You know what I mean? Like it compounds. It's really great.
Yeah. Great. That's how we're going to get a lot of tokens, and then that leads us to our sort of main game plan.
Right. So you talked about Aristocrats, which references like a couple
Vampire Aristocrat.
Yeah, like a couple Falkenrath Aristocrat, and this is another one. Basically,
Falkenrath Noble.
You sack. There's also Falkenrath Aristocrat. It's a black.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Black red card. I don't know if. Anyways, whatever. There used to be a deck called the Aristocrats, and it had all these things, and this is what it did. It sacrificed creatures. It drained for 1. We've seen it in Commander a million times if you're not actually familiar with that title even of it, but that's what it is.
It's kind of its own archetype. It's like bunch of little creatures that say when a creature dies, everyone loses a life and you gain a life, or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And some key cards are some like sack outlets and drainers, and this is what we're going to talk about. So here we go. We have Cruel Celebrant, which is one of my favorite sack outlets if you're in these colors, because Cruel Celebrant also very much protects itself. So Cruel Celebrant's white black for a vampire. It's a 1/2. Whenever Cruel Celebrant or another oh wait, no, this is a different card. Never mind. I'm thinking of a different one. I'm thinking of this.
I know the one you're thinking.
I'm thinking of the sack outlet. You know why? Because the art looks very similar. Very similar art. Anyways, okay, this is a different card. Sorry. This is a great card for this deck though. But it's white black for 1/2. Whenever Cruel Celebrant or another creature or planeswalker you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So this is key. This is one of the like best versions of this card too, I will say, where it's each opponent loses 1 and you're gaining 1. Falkenrath and like Blood Artist are other versions of this, but those target players, right? So Cruel Celebrant is actually the one where it hits all of them, and that's really good. And it also counts for planeswalkers, which is key. Next we also have Corpse Knight, which is another white-black card. It's a zombie knight. It's a 2/2. This one is whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses 1 life. So not only are we hitting them now when they go out, but now we're hitting them on the way in as well. Everyone's basically hitting for 2 just from existing. That's nuts.
I'm just existing.
You're killing me.
I'm just existing.
This person, I'm so sorry.
I didn't ask to be created.
It's really, meanwhile, it's this Corpse Knight and this vampire in the corner being like, they're the ones really doing it. And of course, their buddy, Poison Tip Archer, is also involved. 2 black, green for the Elf Archer, 2/3 with Reach and Death Touch. And whenever another creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life. This one doesn't give you the life gain, but in these decks, the life gain isn't even that necessary. Like, it's nice to have, obviously, but the fact that this one, again, hits each opponent, and this is not even just your creatures. This is everyone's creatures. This is just whenever another creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life. So that means someone else can't go off with their Aristocrat deck because you've got a poison tip archer, unless they're gaining life. Anyway, so it makes things very complicated for those players and makes things very good for you. So,
and the best part is all these 3 are multicolor, so Niv will find them.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta be gilding up with these guys.
10%, like 10 cards is 10% of your deck. Well, it's a little bit more because it's 99 instead of 100, but like that's a significant portion to find one of 3 cards. Like we've got very good odds of getting to these.
I'm going to do an audible and just read Cartel Aristocrat. I don't know if it's in the deck, but that's the card I was thinking of.
Oh yeah.
Cartel Aristocrat. See, similar art. Look, if you're watching YouTube, it's white black for the 2/2 human advisor. Sacrifice another creature. Cartel Aristocrat gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. So if someone's trying to remove it, you just sack something and then give it protection from that color. It's great.
Yeah, it's like that same Orzhov uniform of that weird headdress.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
And that. Yeah, it's like, this is her day. Like Cartel Aristocrat is her in the daytime. She's just at work doing her job. But then after quitting time, on the way home, maybe grab a goblet of wine.
Throw on another little robe thing, like an extra little front robe bib looking thing.
It could be, could be a breeze tonight. Like it gets a little chilly in Ravnica at night.
Oh, also quickly turn into a vampire and and you're good.
Yeah, man, that makes sense. In the daytime, you're human. Nighttime, vampire. They're like werewolves that way, right?
That's how it works. So yeah, anyways, I don't know if you included this in the deck, Sean, but
I did.
Yeah, okay, great. Of course.
Yeah.
This is an uncommon, and it's a really good card. It's cheap. It's great. Protects itself. It's everything you want in one of those free creature sack outlets, and it is one of the namesakes of the original deck, the Aristocrat. So yeah, cool.
Great. Shall we go to some surprises and discoveries?
Ooh, yeah. Were there any?
Yes, absolutely. So first, I want to highlight a surprise from our Discord. This was from Ilvini. Thank you very much for helping us. And I want to shout out Mondo and JP and Ilvini and who else do we have? Dusk was helping us out too. I had a lot of help, like brainstorming some of these things. Some people recommending many cards. Some people it's just clutch recommendation. But Ilvini, I want to thank you for pointing me out Knight of New Alara. 2 green, white, creature, human knight, 2/2. Each other multicolored creature you control gets +1/+1 for each of its colors.
That is
good. So all of my creatures, except for a couple, are multicolor. So all the creatures are basically getting +2/+2 minimum. And well, they almost always get 2/2/2 because they didn't put 3 color creatures, except for Niv-Mizzet, who gets +5/5.
Wow, yeah.
So now we've got an 11 power commander if we like have a Knight of New Alara. And I'll just give you a spoiler. We didn't talk about it. One of our Simic hybrid cards that I'm planning to cast with green is Spitting Image.
Ooh.
So I can make a token copy of something with retrace. So if I have my Niv can find a Spitting Image, and if I can copy Knight of New Alara, then all of my multicolor. So Niv-Mizzet becomes like just way too big.
Like a 16/16?
Yeah, +2/+2 for each of its colors. Yeah, so +10/+10 on a 5 color.
+1/+1 for each of its colors.
Yeah,
right. Cool.
So anyway, like lots of cool stuff going on. So that was the Discord surprise and discovery. Thank you, Ilvini, for that. If you want to get in on that Discord, right? There's a way to do that through our Patreon. We'd love to chat with you. The one that I discovered that I think it was like a framing of it is Mercy Killing. 2 and a hybrid Selesnya, so 2 green or 2 white. Instant, target creature's controller sacrifices it, then puts X/1/1 green and white elf warrior creature tokens into play where X is that creature's power. So it doesn't get, like, if you use this as a kill spell, you're giving that person a bunch of tokens. And the thing that you probably kill probably is going to be very big, so you probably don't want to give them a bunch of tokens. But in a world where I've got a poison tip archer where creatures dying causes everyone to lose life, maybe I don't mind giving you a bunch of 1/1s because that's just fodder for that. Or if I need to, I can also use this card to save one of my own creatures, quote unquote, by sacking it instead of letting it get exiled, and I get my tokens while I'm doing it. I'm happy in this deck. I'm happy to sack Niv-Mizzet for 5 elf warriors, and then Obzidats ate him back out next turn.
If you have the Knight of New Alara with Mercy killing, they're the green white elf token, so like you get this, they become 3/3s.
Yeah,
like,
they're
that's
3/3s.
pretty good.
It's pretty good.
Also, yeah, like you said, man, this is target creature. Their controller sacrifices it, so you can target an indestructible creature, and they have to sacrifice it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's worth giving them a bunch of 1/1s.
Like it's worth it to get like an Avacyn off the board or something. Like definitely, that's worth it.
I'll give you 8 1/1s.
Yeah, sure. Hey, listen, it's very good for you to have 8 1/1s, but I got rid of your Avacyn.
Yeah, now those 8 1/1s are now destroyable.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, wow, this is a neat card.
Yeah.
This is a cool card.
What's it cost? Under $1.
Under $1 from Lorwyn?
Shadowmoor.
Reprint cards from that block, please.
Yeah, so many of them. Shall we go to the budget report?
Well, we've done Surprise and Discovery, so I believe it is time for the budget report.
This is where we take all of the cards and we look at the money we use to buy them. Does the money have 2 colors in it? If so, good money. If it's 1 color, bad money.
Ooh, most money going to be bad money in this case. Not a lot with 2 colors.
Very few.
United States, definitely
not.
In Canada, even, we got different colors, but not 2 colors.
Okay, what about if you paid $15 for something?
Okay, now we're talking. Yeah, we got a blue
we
Willy.
got a purple and a blue.
We got a blue Willy and a purple Johnny.
Yep.
Yep.
Those are the prime ministers that are on those.
Purple Johnny and blue Willy.
But we have a queen on our 20.
Green Lizzie.
I love it. So I put these. I put the deck onto a TCGplayer. You can find the link to it in our show notes to look at the deck. The low for this is $21.
Wow.
This is a $21 deck at its low. Now, granted, there's a couple of obvious exclusions, right? I obviously want Reese the Redeemed to like double my tokens, he's already a hybrid card, but that's very expensive. I didn't include him, right? So like obviously we could bump this up a ton. So the market price, not quite so low, $60, right? The market price is more fair. I don't know what cards are so cheap at some sites.
There's like one extremely like put in a washer and dryer version of these cards available to you. A Soul Ring that's just hanging from a thread.
But even at that point, you save $4.
Yeah.
Soul Ring's $4. So like, how do you get that? Anyway, I don't know. I'll do it. But the most expensive card is Teysa Orzhov Scion, 1 white-black legendary human advisor for a 2/3. So it's hybrid, or sorry, it's not hybrid. It's multicolor, and you get to sack 3 white creatures. Exile target creature. We've got a lot of tokens, and I think they are all white except for a couple things that make green sapperling type of things. They're white and green or just white. So this is a great ability to have as backup. And whenever another black creature you control is put into a graveyard from play, put a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying into play. So it generates more tokens. A lot of our black creatures are our sack fodder and things that we're going to be reanimating, coming back from the graveyard. Some of our dredgers. So like, Teysa is not optimized in this deck, but it just kind of is a good solid include for all of the angles. It's $5, but I think it's worth it.
Very cool. I've always loved this card. Always wanted to brew with this card, and it's nice to see it pop up here because she's like a bit of an engine in and of herself.
Yeah,
this is like got to be one of the original like coolest commanders.
Probably.
Next is Soul Ring, $4.
Yeah,
next
$4. Next, and the next most expensive is Crop Rotation. It's a single green instant. You have to sack a land to cast it, but then you search your library for any land, put it into play, and shuffle afterwards. So this is an interesting one. This is a $3.50. I'm not 100% sure how I feel on this, because this can be clutch to get you maybe a command tower or a way to cast red or blue to get Niv-Mizzet rolling the first time. Once we hit our 5 colors, we can start to use both halves of our hybrid cards and take advantage of their late game effects. But I mean, to sack a land, we are definitely heavy forests, so it's almost always right to sack a forest to get something. But it doesn't put us ahead. It just sort of fixes things. But it does take a land out of the deck, which I do like for future Niv hits. So I'm torn on it. It's $350, which is pretty cheap. But if you're looking to save a couple bucks, this is a one. This might be one to cut.
Yeah, that might be one I would look at. $3. Yeah, I mean, it's a good fixer, no question about it. Single mana. Yeah. Sometimes you got to make those tough cuts.
So there's the deck. That's the budget. We're going to talk about our favorite cards. Andy, what's your favorite card of the deck?
Ooh, there's a lot of good ones in this one, but I decided to go with Ashen Rider, the big Archon. 4 white, black, so 8 in total for the creature. Archon, 5/5 flyer. When Ashen Rider enters the battlefield or dies, exile target permanent. Love Ashen Rider in these colors. Love it in there's 5 colors, but talking about Abzan, loving Ashen Rider, being able to bring it back. Like, imagine hitting this, with an Obsidat's aid. Like, if you're already rolling with your Niv-Mizzet and stuff, like, you've cast you got your Ashen Rider originally, exile something. It died, exile something. Bring it back, exile something. It dies again. Like, it's just wild. The fact that it hits on the way in and the way out is really, really good. 8 mana is a lot, but when in these types of decks where you're abusing it, it's well worth it.
Yeah, but also like we have ways, like there's a little bit of dredging, as I said, a little bit of self-mill, little creatures that put cards in the graveyard to put lands out and things like that are in Golgari colors, for example. So there's a world where we just Obsidat's Aid this thing in the first time, right? And then just kind of go nuts. I think it's great.
Yeah, being able to exile permanents is obviously a super strong ability, so being able to do it
the best ability.
It's the best, yeah. Agreed.
My favorite card is going to be Hidden Stockpile. It's an enchantment. It's black-white. It's Orzhov, so we can get it with Niv, and it's cheap to drop. And it has a revolt, so at the beginning of your end step, if a permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn, you get a 1/1 servo artifact. It's a token, it plays into our theme, and it is also a sack outlet because you can pay 1, sack a creature, scry 1. It's a sack outlet, it makes tokens, that plays into it. It is 2 colors, Niv-Mizzet can find it, and we're often doing shenanigans like this on our turn anyway, sacking a token here or there. And Hidden Stockpile keeps its own sack fodder going. You can sack that servo on your turn and get another servo at the end of your turn.
Yeah, I mentioned that Teza is like an engine in and of herself. Like, she is her self-contained engine. Hidden Stockpile is that also, basically.
Yeah.
It's just this little engine that lets you... Well, my mic's just completely come loose and falling off. Anyways, it's an engine. It's a great card. It's really, really good. I'm happy you like it.
Yeah. It really came off.
It really fully fell off. Okay. That's weird. I barely touched the microphone and it started completely crumbled.
That maybe someone was doing some recording, broke it, and just balanced it back where it was, which is how I deal with things I accidentally make.
Harry, were you recording with my microphone with your dad's mic and then you broke it and then you just lightly put it down, hoping that then I would think I broke it?
Harry.
If so, that's a smart move. Smart move. Harry's pick also same thing as Sean's. Hidden Stockpile, loves it very much. Very into a card that just is its own engine.
Does Harry have a hidden stockpile that needs dealing with?
He constantly has a hidden stockpile of poop in his diaper. He really does stockpile it up. It's never are you like, oh, Harry, you pooped, and you find like, oh, just a little bit, just enough for one day. No, he's got a stockpile, years worth of poop in there.
Yeah, he's a growing boy.
He's a growing boy. Got to have a good poop.
Aw, what a sweetheart.
Thanks, Harry. Thanks for your hidden stockpile, and thanks for grabbing onto my headphones like this.
No problem, Dad.
What?
Wow. His voice is so many thoughts. 1, so verbal for his age.
So verbal.
2, such a deep voice.
Very deep voice.
Cords
yep.
Must go down to his anus.
And loud. Real set of lungs on the kid as well.
Yeah.
Important to note.
Well, thank you, Harry. Thank you, everybody. This is the deck. I think this has been super fun.
This is a super fun deck.
It's super fun. I really struggled with the math on it. Like, how many Boros cards should I include? Because if you include one, then you probably won't hit it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really affect that much. Because, you know, I have mostly Golgari, Orzhov, and Selesnya. So, like, you're probably going to hit 3, but sometimes you hit 1 because you hit 4 Orzhov cards, right? And so that kind of sucks a bit. Like, it's never perfect. But I hope between getting rid of a bunch of lands, between having such a wide variety of off-color guilds, quote-unquote, to grab that are still valuable effects. I tried to make sure that none of these effects were worthless.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be fun. If you're a math genius, help me tweak the math on this, but I think this one has turned out fun.
Yeah, and check out the deck list again, TCGplayer, also over on MTG Canada. If you're looking to order these, you can go to those places depending on what country you live in, because you'll get a better deal and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, this is definitely one of those ones where you're going to be tweaking with the deck list, I think, up until you make the order. You know what I mean? Like, even in the order screen, you're like, ooh, do I actually want that? Maybe I should add another Hybrid Azorius card. You know what I mean? Just trying to get the ratios correct and proper and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Do I go with the Hybrid Azorius that makes 2 Thopters on the back half, but the front half isn't as good?
Yeah.
What's the one?
Yeah. And the mana base is going to be very important here. This is a tinkerer's deck for sure.
I should tell you, in full disclosure, I do run 1 basic mountain and 1 basic island, because you do want to cast Niv earlier. I really don't. I don't know if that's the best move, or do I run like, instead of like I could run 3 color lands that have like black, green, and red. No, right? So it's a Golgari land, but I threw in some red on this Golgari land. Like, I don't know where, like, that's a really tough challenge. I do run Rupture Spire and Transglobe Promenade to help that out. I do run your 5 color mana rocks, like your Commander Spheres and your Darksteel Ingots.
Do you run, like, are you running Evolving Wilds?
Yep, Terramorphic.
Then I think you have to include 1 basic of those other colors, because I've made decks before where I'm like, oh, there's just a little bit of red in this deck, like 1 red card or something. Like, I'm talking about like a limited deck, and nothing feels worse than when you get your Evolving Wilds and it doesn't get the 1 color you need. You're like I've got enough other fixing for this red. I don't need to actually include a basic land in here. And then you get your Evolving Wilds. You're like, crud.
crud indeed.
So yeah, that makes sense then to me.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, so that I would love that comment the most. Like, help me figure out these lands and the math on this. I need a math genius here.
Well, calling all math geniuses, please get at us either on Twitter at Commanders Brew, or check us out on YouTube in the comments. That's also a great way to get a hold of us. But thanks everyone for listening. This was a really fun deck this week, and we'll see you next week with another one.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for watching. If you love what we're doing, consider supporting the show by going to patreon.com/commandersbrew.
And if you want to get any of the cards from our deck list, go to our TCGplayer affiliate link below.
That helps us out too. And for a free way to help us out, consider sharing the show with some friends. Like and subscribe, add a comment or 2.
See you later.
Bye.